Hi, welcome to Sisterwood DIY. My name's Dana. My daughter Haley's behind the camera.
Hi.
I have been redoing furniture for about 10 years. Never done a tutorial, so I thought, you know, why not start today? So I've had this end table for, my gosh, probably at least 6 or 7 years. It was my son's, so I stained it black for him so it would go with his furniture. So I'm gonna redo it and kind of dupe a Pottery Barn table or a West Elm table. I can't remember which one. First thing I usually do is I take off my hardware. So obviously I'm gonna go ahead and my glasses have to be on because I can't see anything without them. And excuse my mess. I always look like this when I'm redoing furniture. So I usually start with my electric little one, but you know, obviously sometimes it doesn't work like that. All right, so probably I'm not going to keep this hardware because it's ugly. So, and it's just wood. I might use it for something else later. Everything else I'm just going to leave as is. I am going to clean it first. So I'll be honest, I am a little lazy about cleaning furniture, but I've learned that it really doesn't do you any favors because of the gunk and everything gets into when you're sanding or trying to paint it, and it gunks it up, and then you always have to redo it anyway. So I'm just going to start by cleaning it with some Simple Green. I like Simple Green because it's non-toxic, it's good, it doesn't hurt the environment, you don't really have to put on gloves for it. So it's kind of my go-to cleaner, so I'm going to clean it. So I just use a scouring pad, get all that gunk and grime off there. Okay, so now I'm just going to, got it all cleaned up with a Simple Green. So now that kind of degreases it and everything. I got it all clean. I wiped it down with some water. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to angle these legs. My first instinct was to cut off the whole bottom and then put legs on it, but I was trying to do this as inexpensively as possible. So I'm going to cut the legs with just a jigsaw. So it's the first time I've ever done this, so I'm kind of winging it. I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna do like I'm gonna measure an inch in from each end of the leg. And then I'm gonna use my square and just kind of angle it the best I can. I think I like that. What do you think, Haley?
Yeah, I think that looks good.
And so I'm going to measure up and figure out how far I went up on that. So I went up about 2 inches. So I'll measure a little over 2 inches, about 2 on the other side, and then mimic that line over here. Just line it up with the 1 inch line that I already made. And then kind of look and see if they look similar. So I just need to make my line a little better.
Trial and error.
Yep, that's what I said. I've never done this, so we're just kind of figuring it out.
We're going out on a limb.
All right, so this is going to be a little trickier because I don't want to cut more. I think that looks great. Okay. Okay, so now I'm gonna sand and see how far I can go down on the stain. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get through all of it, so I'm gonna have to prime, but I just wanna see how it's gonna look if I just sand it quick. So I'm using my Bosch sander. I have it hooked to my vacuum, my shop vac, so normally I would wear a mask if I was inside or I didn't have that, but because I have this, there's not a lot of sawdust. So I'm just gonna sand down a little bit on top and see what it takes me to. And then if it's not gonna go anywhere, I will probably just use my 120. So I'm starting with an 80 grit. 80, the lower the number, the higher the grit. I will go to 120 if it's not sanding well. So I'm gonna go ahead and sand. as you can see, it's not getting through. I mean, you're still gonna get quite a bit of black showing through, which I don't want. And there's also like a ring here from somebody putting their water down here and it wasn't sealed properly. So just go to 120 because it gives it a good grip for the paint. So I'm going to just sand down to 120. All right, cool. Okay, so I got the table all primed. It's got 2 coats on it and the drawer. And I just did a little sand to make sure there was no bumps or any hairs on it.
Side note, she did use Kills paint as the primer because it's what she had on hand.
And there's some stain showing through, but I think that'll be okay when I paint. If not, then I'll just have to do another coat on that and touch it up. So I'm gonna paint it. I just wanted to do it with something on hand. And I like this color. It's called Amy Howard at Home One Step Paint, and it is linen. So it's a little kind of a creamy color, and I haven't used this in quite some time, so I'm gonna have to stir it, and that'll probably take a few minutes. So I will be right back. Yeah, I'm gonna start with the paint fully, you know, just like it was in the can, because sometimes it depends on the paint. I don't want any brush strokes, so I want to see how thick it goes on and how much brush strokes there are. If there's a lot, then I'll probably get it a little bit watered down. So I'm just going to start and see how it paints, because I actually have not used this paint for quite some time, so I really can't remember how it performs. So I'm just going to wet the paint down, I'm going to wet my brush down. I'm going to start with a liberal amount and just brush it on. Watch for anything that drips, because the holes that are inside that is how you put the table together tends to collect paint, and you don't want to go back and find out that there's a big drip in your drawer because you forgot. So I'm using just an angle brush here to get into the small spots. Sometimes if I wait too long, chalk paint dries a little fast, so you might have to just kind of get it wet and rub it down a little bit. Don't rub too hard or you'll take the primer off if you have primed. If you see brush strokes, don't worry about that. It'll level off a little bit, and then when it dries, you can go back and sand them out a little bit. You can get them wet and then do another coat. My goal is to make this as smooth as possible. I would roll it on, but I ran out of rollers and I don't feel like going to the store right now, so I'm just going to paint it. So I'm going to let that dry for a little bit, and then I'm going to go back and see if any spots I've missed. The lighting isn't the greatest right now, so let's just do the drawer real quick and then go back and check to see if we need to do, well, we definitely need another coat. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry and then come back and do another coat. Okay, the paint is dry, enough that I can sand it. So I'm gonna sand a little bit with like a 220 sandpaper just to see how it looks, just really lightly. Okay, so I want this to go on without brush strokes as much as possible.
So she is watering down the paint to add a overwash and make the paint look a little bit more even and more opaque.
Okay, so now we've got the drawers, all the drawer painted and the end table painted. It's pretty smooth. And now I'm going to put trim on, or I'm going to cut the trim so that when I put the piece of fabric in here, then I can put the trim on top. So I'm going to miter it. What I did, I was trying to use things that were here, so I just ripped a piece of a 1/4 inch plywood down to 1.5 inch strips. But you can go to Home Depot and get some like 1/4 inch boards. What I'm going to do is I want to miter them. So what mitering is you're joining them like at an angle, if you don't already know that. So right now I'm going to actually cut these to size first, and then I'll miter them. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is cut it down to the right size of the drawer. Now always wear your safety glasses. Okay, and now I'm going to miter the ends. So what mitering is you want to make it a 45-degree angle. Now this is my Ryobi saw. I'm going to miter each corner. So now I'm going to do the top part. Okay, so I've got all the pieces cut and mitered. You don't have to miter them if you don't want. You could just do a square cut. And I put a coat of paint on them all. And I'm just doing a second coat just to make sure that they're good and covered. Do the holes for the hardware right now. So what I've done is I measured and made a mark on my center. And I have this handy dandy little cabinet pole template that I've gotten from Home Depot, and I just line that up with the X. Okay, for this project, I'm just using what I have on hand, and I have some Amy Howard at home clear wax on hand. It's the same as the paint. So I like to use a brush to put it on. So I load the brush up with the paint or the wax, and then just do it.
Hi, it's Haley, Dana's daughter. I'm just voice recording this part to make it go a little faster. She's currently waxing the furniture with the Dixie Belle wax, and then she's going to go ahead and with a tape measure to measure out for the trim that's going to be on the outside of the drawer. And now she's going to be cutting the fabric. So she's got the fabric mat out here to be able to cut it, and that's going to go on the front face of the drawer. This is her cutting the fabric, measuring out how much she's going to need for that front of the drawer, and cutting it. And now she is touching up some of the edges. It was a curtain originally, so it's got some interesting prints. And then she is measuring out for these pieces of trim that she's cut, which I don't know if she filmed or not. But now she's spraying at some of the, I don't remember what that brand is, but Elmer's or whatever craft spray, and then stick it on the front, make sure it's smooth, and then placing the trim over top. Now she's going to put those pieces there, also using a glue. So she's all finished gluing those down, and now she's going to be using some clamps to clamp them to the front of the drawer and use her nail gun to really secure those on there. You don't need a nail gun, you can also just use regular nails, but it just makes it easier for the purpose of this project. Now she's using a little bit of spackle to cover up the holes from where the nails were, and after those clamps are off, she's sanding it down, painting it, touching up the paint, and making sure it looks perfect. In this next clip, she's going to be screwing on a piece of gold hardware, I believe that was purchased from Amazon. Now she's just waxing the drawer trim and making it look all cohesive with the piece.
Ta-da! All done. Is that good enough?
Yeah, that was cute. So this is the drawer front. We've got the fabric and the handle. You can just find those kind of handles on Amazon, or if you want to find something more cute and quirky, you can go to like a thrift store and check to see if they have anything. Antique stores. That's the top, beautiful cream paint. The legs that you guys saw happen. And a mom.
Like and subscribe for more content. No, that sounded stupid. Okay. Please like and subscribe for more content.